Excited to be with you tonight because, you know, 2 years ago this conversation probably would not have been possible. When you think about the Second City, you think about a theater, you think about comedy, you think about the stage. But really what we've done in the last 2 or 3 years is really embrace where the world is going, where Second City has a place and a new stage in the world of new media. And we want to talk a little bit about that with you tonight. Frankly, where we're taking Second City, and the fact is we're kind of late to the game. Being bone honest with you. We were not early adopters. We're not subject matter experts when it comes to all things technical and all things digital. We are a content creator, and a content creator with a particular point of view around humor. So I think for us, while we're late in the game, we think we have something to say. And I think we're all looking for a drink at this point in the evening. It's been a long day for you, so thanks for hanging in. The finish line is in sight. I think the goal of this presentation is kind of simple. Let you know what we're up to, let you know why we think this space is particularly exciting at this point in time for a company like the Second City, and also share a few of the learnings that we've gotten along the way. I mean, the fact is, in a short period of time, we've had a fair amount of success. We'll show you some of that here. But again, being honest with you, we've had some screw-ups and some failures along the way, and I think we've learned a few things. And we're going to share some of that learning as well, because I think that's instructive too. Now, we're playing to a hometown crowd here tonight. This is a Chicago place, and I assume most of you are familiar with the Second City, but we're also talking to people looking at us online, and they may be less familiar with the Second City. So by way of introduction and to set some context for the work that we do and refamiliarize all of you with who we are, got a short video clip about a minute long that'll explain who exactly we are.
God, it's me, Noah. Noah. The N-O-A-H, Noah.
I am 35 years old. I am divorced, and I live in a van down by the river.
Growing up in Mississippi, I have learned that we are all God's children, even the Jews.
If you don't jump now, we'll miss the drop zone! Thank you for flying Southwest!
All right, that's a little bit about, thank you very much. You know, it's great because I get to be here and know that I've got that as my backstop. When you got that kind of talent back at the ranch, you can't help but look good when you're running the place. But I think the important thing I want to share with all of you is beyond what goes on our stage, our physical stage at North and Wells, the Second City has become more than a stage. I mean, there's a pretty robust business there. We've really evolved into a different kind of company. We're a multifaceted entertainment and learning company. Not only do we have theaters in Chicago and Toronto, we've got 4 touring companies that travel to every continent on the planet. We've got training centers in those locations now that are teaching over 10,000 students a year. And it could be aspiring actors, it could be the next greats on our stage, or the people that you're watching in movie theaters. It could also just be people like us who are looking to take some classes and learn about improvisation so they can be better communicators, better in their work. So we have a lot of things going on within the training centers. There's a fast-growing TV and digital business with our group out in Hollywood, headquartered by an executive out there. And the group that I came into the company with about 7 years ago, Second City Communications, which is the corporate service arm of the company, that's really changed and evolved quite a bit. We're now working with over 400 clients a year, 400 engagements a year, half of those with Fortune 1000 companies. And what started out as a corporate entertainment and event support business has really evolved into a learning business and a multimedia and online new media kind of business. And we're going to talk a little bit about some of that work specifically here tonight. When you think about what we do beyond just putting on shows, when you think about what's going on at Second City, we have two core capabilities, two core competencies. It's really all about creating content and developing talent. And by that reel that you can see, we've developed some talent, arguably with some success. So we know a little bit about how we can create this kind of content, specifically short-form content, and now we're finding new ways to productize that and new ways to take that into different spaces. The truth is, 200,000 people only see us on our stages. We're playing to packed houses every night, but when you think about what happens in Chicago, that's still a relatively finite audience. We see what's going on right now. The web is becoming our next stage, and finding ways to take our point of view, our content, our art, our work, and introduce it to new audiences through new media. Why should we be in this space? I talked a little bit about this. We know short-form comedy. If you've ever been to a Second City show, and how many in the room have been to a Second City show? So you get a sense of what that is. It's a sketch comedy review, right? That means short-form content, maybe sketches 3 to 5 minutes in length, and a whole series of those combined together, stitched together to form a very funny comedic review. So we've been developing that kind of material for a long time. We know how to do that. We know how to do it rapidly and take it into this new world as well. I think, and that might be somewhat obvious because humor plays so well in the online world, and I think that's kind of a given that we would know how to do that. I think people think less about us in the context of interactive. And again, if you've been to Second City shows, you know how much in the improv form, audience suggestion drives the material on stage. It really shapes the shows that we put up, and it shapes a given scene, it can shape characters, that sort of thing. So we're hardwired to think in terms of co-creation with an audience. In a sense, breaking down that fourth wall that separates the actors from the audience. And again, in the context of interactive and the new media world, that's a core attribute that we have. We didn't know it, we didn't set out to be it, but lo and behold, we have it. And those two things really bode well for us when it comes to this kind of space. And then lastly, there are literally hundreds of writers and actors and directors and videographers and producers who work within the Second City family. And there are only a few stages that you can play on. So not only do we have that capability, but we have vast talent back at the ranch that we want to put to work. And this affords us the opportunity to be in that space. So if you ask the question, what are we doing here? Why do we see an opportunity within this space? It's for these reasons. We're doing a few different things, and I'm talking about how we're creating our own properties, how we're creating properties for our corporate clients, how we're using new media within the context of learning and education, and then lastly, how we're using it in terms of a business intelligence tool. And again, all these things were probably not things that you thought of when you came in and you thought about the Second City, but this little old comedy engine that could is getting it done in a few different ways. So one of the properties that we're really proud to talk about is Second City's Quarantine, which is a branded comedy site that doesn't exist yet. It's in development, and it's going to be launched later on this year. It's something that we're developing in partnership with MRC, Media Rights Capital, who are doing tremendous work in this space. And we feel that we have a point of view that might be a little bit different. There's a lot of comedy, there's a lot of entertainment out there, but we feel that we have a specific brand of comedy and the ability to create more reliably strong comedy on an ongoing basis. And also we have that point of view about interactivity, that if you look at what's missing out there in this space, there's a lot of funny stuff, but there's also some stuff that misses quite often. And there is, even the best comedy, it's still pushing content out in a one-way monologue as opposed to figuring out devices and tools to create that kind of audience interactivity. That's what we're looking to do with this particular property. As I mentioned, or I didn't mention, but this is going to be an advertising or sponsor-driven model, and it's something that we're looking to get done yet this year, so that'll be up and running before the close of 2008. So creating for our own properties, and In terms of other things that we're doing within Second City Communications, we are taking all of those corporate and Fortune 1000 conversations that we're having, and we're also doing work for corporate clients in the way of new media, the way of web development and marketing services. We're creating online marketing campaigns for blue chippers, a lot of brands that you know and love. That constitutes web development, short-form videos, interactive games, satiric quizzes, the kind of stuff that can really engage customers in a different way, applying the same kinds of principles and the same kinds of ideas that we have about engaging an audience in our theater to this world. It's pretty fun stuff. And also we're totally embracing the idea of user-generated elements within those. Clients include McDonald's, The Economist, Motorola, CareerBuilder.com, Norwegian Cruise Lines, a whole bunch of other clients. And I want to show you some work that we're doing right now that we did with McDonald's Canada in support of their coffee business. And it's a way that we wanted to just create some genuine, authentic moments with people, our actors, talking about their relationship to coffee. It's a simple idea, but the way we execute it, I think, is a fun twist.
Yeah, if I don't get that cup of coffee in the morning, I feel like I'm a manatee. I feel like I'm moving slowly through a thick environment. Like I'm wading through cold water. It just doesn't feel good. I feel like I'm not moving quickly enough. I feel like I'm not responding. But I feel like I'm not able to manipulate my environment as much as I'd like to do the things I want to do. So I feel just kind of slow and kind of a little bit lazy as well, Yeah. I think when I get that first cup of coffee in the morning, I feel more like a lemur. Lemurs are native to Madagascar, of course, as we all know. And they jump from tree to tree, right? But they're also, they seem fun-loving. And that's how I like to think of myself, because my self-image is that I'm a guy who enjoys fun. I engage other people and have a good time. And I feel like the coffee helps me. I've got prehensile. No, I don't have a prehensile tail. That's in my dreams. But I have opposable thumbs, so I can actually grab a cup of coffee and raise it to my mouth, just like a lemur would, if it could, in Madagascar.
That's some fun stuff. And there's a whole series of those, and it all follows the same idea, just people and relationships of coffee brought to life through a different comedic take on the topic. Another example I'm going to show you just in a second is for The Economist magazine. Are you all familiar with The Economist? They're doing wonderful stuff here in North America and having a great run versus a lot of their competition because they're doing some particularly innovative stuff. And they engaged us, again, taking advantage of the Second City's point of view on political satire, and we've worked with them. Obviously, they have a strong point of view when it comes to politics and geopolitical dynamics around the world. We've worked with them to create a year-long campaign called The Art of Political Satire. And the cool thing about this is it combines live, custom-written shows that we take around the U.S., from San Francisco to Dallas to D.C. to Raleigh to Atlanta, and we're playing to packed houses following the whole election year, where we take on those topics and those issues in a fresh and comedic way. And we're also taking those into the online space. So the same sensibility we're using here as well. And we've created a site working with their political cartoonist, Kevin Gallagher. Cal, you may be familiar with him. And it's pretty cool stuff. So we'll just give you a little bit of a glimpse of that and a short sample of a video that we've created for them. So if you'd roll that, please. And there's no sound to this, obviously, because it's just on site, but that's Cal's stuff. And this would take you to a video that would promote the event that we would be doing.
Okay, I got it. Yeah. Okay, Obama is from Kansas. Kansas is where Superman is from. Superman did battle with the evil Lex Luthor. Lex Luthor is DC Comics' version of Hitler.
Hillary is married to Bill. Bill appeared on the Arsenio Hall show. Arsenio's mustache, if you look at it closely, is the mustache of Hitler! Yeah!
We've done it. We've successfully connected the Democrats to Hitler. McCain can't lose.
Wait a minute. What about McCain?
What about McCain?
Hello, he was a Nazi POW?
It wasn't World War II. It was World War I.
Is he that old?
Actually, he's older.
It was the Spanish-American War. He's right. We're in the clear!
Good times, good times. Yeah. So that's just some samples of work that we're doing with our corporate clients, and we call this kind of the white label stuff. There's all the quarantine stuff is branded Second City stuff, and the stuff that we're doing for McDonald's, The Economist, some of these other clients, obviously there's no Second City branded ID for the most part. We're really just creating this kind of material for them. So if we're creating funny stuff in terms of marketing content, we're also creating funny stuff in the service of learning, training, and education with those same kinds of corporate clients. Some of the samples you see here in those logos. Really what we've found, this is not a new idea, but it's an idea that we've really fully embraced and we think taken to another level, where you can bring humor to corporate training and internal communications. The fact is, in most big companies, this stuff is Dullsville, right? I mean, most internal communications is dull and tepid and just walking on eggshells, not really conveying the essential truth that people know in the organization. And that's our whole point of view is things are only funny when they're true, right? And so we're able to shed some light on the truth through some humor, protect it with some humor, but talk about the stuff that's thorny or more contentious or perhaps more controversial. And we're taking that same sensibility that you saw on the last two pieces, and we're bringing it within the context of internal communications for those Fortune 1000 organizations. I mean, the fact is, we want to use the media in the tone that people are used to using outside of work. There's this stark divide between the way people communicate on the job and what they do when they're not on the job, and we don't see any reason why you can't mix that stuff together. People are people, right? And if you're able to use the tone and the media and the sensibility, especially that younger people value, you're going to have a lot more cred. And that's the kind of work that we're doing in that space as well. And then lastly, I know time's tight, so I want to be respectful of that and keep things moving along, but there's one other area I wanted to touch on. I mentioned how we're using our approach to new media in the context of marketing, learning, and education, but we're also figuring out interesting ways to use new tools in the service of business intelligence. Again, think about the parallel of how we work on stage with people in an audience. We're mining suggestions from them to inform the content that we put up on the stage. What if we could create a tool that could take that outside of the context of a stage, but surfed the web, surfed the blogosphere, surfed the world out there to figure out what people were really thinking to inform the work that we're doing? And that's what we're doing. We've partnered with Northwestern Technology Labs to create a tool that we're calling the Intelligence Engine. It's really an online consumer insights tool that finds, filters, and organizes consumer stories. It really goes out there and helps us, and this is typically done for a particular client brand or client organization where they want to know what people are thinking about them to have a better sense of what they need to do in terms of new product development, fixes, marketing communication strategy, the whole 9 yards. It tells specifically what people like, what they hate, and what they want. And as far as we're concerned, we haven't seen anything quite exactly like it. There are other things that are purporting to be in this space, but we're very bullish about what this can do, not only as a tool unto itself to provide marketing research and a new way to get insight, but also as a way to really inform what we do downstream in the way of marketing communication. So again, think of it as a digital version of an audience suggestion that really can inform the content that we're going to create. So it's really cool stuff, and it gets us into a space where we really never have been before. So we've got a lot to learn, and time doesn't allow me to go into a ton more detail there, but if anyone's ever interested in that, we'd love to talk to you about it, or if you're interested in learning more about how any of these things work, I'll be around afterwards. But it's a pretty exciting time. And then lastly, kind of getting to the finish line here, what are we learning? So we're doing a few things. You know, we've got some momentum, we've got some success, but what are we learning and what could be useful here? Well, the first thing that we're learning is this stuff ain't a layup, right? For all of you who are in the field, you know it's not easy. and that for all the progress being made, it's still rather experimental in a lot of places. And for us, we find that online audiences are particularly fickle in that they bore easily. And there's something about the dynamic of watching what we do in a stage environment where people are packed on top of each other and there's the contagiousness of the laughter. Well, when people are doing this in an online situation, obviously they're viewing all this stuff alone for the most part. And there's a different requirement to be successful that way. What works on stage doesn't necessarily work online. And then I think I alluded to this earlier, funny videos aren't enough. It's so noisy out there that beyond the funny, you've got to find a way to create interactivity and opportunities for audiences to engage and interact with the material. And so, again, not a particularly new idea. It's just not being executed in our minds as well as it could be out in the world. You know, being humble, what we don't know about this space could fill volumes. I think we've learned a ton, but there's a whole bunch we don't know, which leads me into this point. We know that we can't do this alone. The Second City is a comedy brand, and it's a brand that's grounded in improvisation and a very specific expertise. But for us to fulfill our promise, we're going to have that done through specific kinds of partnerships, such as the one we're doing with Northwestern Technology Labs. We have a point of view, we have an interesting insight, but we aren't armed with all the resources we need to get it done. So our path will be one that involves alliances and partnerships like that. But on the good news, in terms of what we're seeing out there, the attributes that we're most proud of about our brand and about the Second City experience really play well in the context of new media. Authenticity, a satiric sensibility. I mean, you think about what's going on out there, the best stuff is, this whole thing isn't notoriously irreverent. It's all about kind of shattering convention. That's why you're all here, right? And so we believe that that whole sensibility plays extraordinarily well. Also, this idea of a willingness to co-create with audiences. That it's not that we're smarter or better or whatever, and we're going to push stuff out on you, but the more that we can find ways to use this media, the new media, the digital space, if you will, to co-create with audiences, the better we're going to be. And then lastly, I think arguably we have the ability to find the funny. We've been doing it for a long time, and we know it works, and we're very excited about what we're doing in this space. I'm going to close up with one last piece, and then we'll all head out and have a nice adult beverage. But I'm going to close up with one last piece, some work that we've done with CareerBuilder.com. I had mentioned them earlier. And we have worked with them specifically to promote a video resume service that they have. They wanted to put right way, wrong way out there, so showing people how they can use this service that they have and get the most out of it. If we've proven anything over our history, it's that we know how to do things the wrong way. So they asked us to do the wrong way example, and I want to show you that right now.
Hi, I'm Hans Roland, and I want to be your next HR specialist. My take on HR, I want to put more H in HR, more human in human resources. I'm going to sing you a song. This is something I do with my youth group. I'm just going to let it fly. Got a song right here on my computer. There it is. If you've got the energy, I've got the synergy. Synergy, 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 synergy. I'll train you, but I won't harass you. Harassment is wrong, and I learned that the easy way at a seminar. Will you be my friend? Will you trust me? I'll give you the sick days and flex time you need. Just don't get sick all the time. I'll give you the benefits you need. You'll be my friend with benefits. You'll be my friend with benefits. I'm your H guitar, HR guitar star. Thank you.
So thank you very much for your time. We really appreciate you being here tonight, and I hope this was helpful to all of you. Good night.